Your attention does not break first. Your body does. Before your mind says, "I am distracted," your nervous system has already moved. Your pulse changes, your tension rises, your attention narrows. The body starts preparing for pressure before your thoughts can explain what is happening. Most focus advice fails here. It tells you to try harder after your system is already hijacked. The shinobi understood something colder. If the body panics first, then the mind cannot be trained only through thoughts. It has to be anchored before pressure arrives. This is the real meaning behind becoming invisible to distractions. Not disappearing from the room, not turning into a myth, and not some fantasy hand sign that gives you powers. Invisible means this. The distraction reaches for you, but it cannot find the part of you that usually reacts. A modern stress test exposed this in a way that sounds almost impossible at first. Practitioners performed a historical hand sign practice before being placed under intense mental pressure. The test was designed to push the mind into fatigue, stress, and sympathetic nervous activation. In ordinary people, the body responded the way the body usually responds under pressure. Anxiety markers rose. Attention markers dropped. The nervous system started shifting toward fight or flight. The trained practitioners showed a different pattern. Their anxiety-linked beta activity dropped. Their relaxed concentration increased. Their autonomic system did not collapse into the same disruption. The hand sign is not the strange part. What happened after it is. The ritual looked ancient. The instrument saw something physical. And this is where the cartoon version of the ninja has to be dropped immediately. No smoke, no magic, no disappearing body, and no secret spell that turns stress off forever. The real thing is sharper than that. The historical shinobi were not built around open combat fantasy. Their work depended on survival under pressure, information, deception, patience, emotional control, and the ability to keep thinking when a normal mind would start making noise. That is not less impressive. It is more dangerous. A blade can only reach what is in front of it. A stable mind can move through pressure without becoming owned by it. This is why the old manuals do not begin where most people expect. They do not begin with dramatic violence, the fastest strike, or the fantasy of the unstoppable warrior. They begin with the mind. The Bansen Shukai, one of the major 17th century texts preserving shinobi methods, places enormous importance on Seishin, the correct mind. Not as decoration, not as philosophy for old men sitting around trying to sound deep, as survival equipment. The idea is severe in its simplicity. If your mind is cloudy, your technique does not matter. If your mind is indecisive, your tools do not matter. If your mind is dragged around by fear, ego, anger, or overthinking, then the enemy does not need to defeat you. You are already leaking control. Let that bother you. The modern person likes to treat distraction as a small weakness, a bad habit, a phone problem, or a little lack of discipline. The shinobi framework treats a cloudy mind as something far more serious. A cloudy mind does not see reality cleanly. It exaggerates one danger and misses another. It reacts too soon. It waits too long. It confuses emotional noise for information. Under pressure, that kind of mind becomes easy to command. Distraction is not harmless. Every distraction is a small command. Look here, react now, want this, fear that, check again. Move your attention away from what you chose and toward what was chosen for you. Most people do not lose focus in one dramatic collapse. They lose it in tiny acts of obedience. The old shinobi problem was obviously more extreme. They were operating in hostile environments where mistakes could cost them everything. But the underlying mechanism is uncomfortably close. Pressure hits. The body reacts. The mind narrows. The inner noise rises. Then the person believes whatever the noise says next. This is the trap. And it explains why the old manuals cared so deeply about the state of the operator before the action began. A distracted mind does not only perform worse. It becomes readable. It becomes predictable. It becomes easy to move. Here is the first major reversal. The enemy was not just outside the wall. The enemy was the unstable mind walking toward the wall. The modern stress data and the old manuals start to fit together here. The study does not need to prove that ancient shinobi understood neuroscience in modern language. That would be a cheap overclaim. They did not need our vocabulary to recognize the problem. They saw the effect. A person under pressure becomes split. The body wants survival. The mind wants control. Fear wants speed. Discipline wants timing. When those forces are not organized before the crisis organizes them for you. A physical anchor matters because of this. The hand sign was not valuable because it looked mysterious. It was valuable because it gave the mind and body one place to go before panic scattered them. Most people miss this part. They wait until distraction has already taken over. Then they try to fight it with thought. They open the phone, lose 20 minutes, feel disgusted, and then tell themselves, "Tomorrow, I will be more disciplined." That is not training. It is cleanup. The shinobi logic moves differently. You do not wait for panic to own the body. You create the anchor before the pressure hits. Timing matters. The practice came before the stressor. The nervous system was not being rescued after collapse. It was being prepared before collapse. A hard lesson sits inside that. If you only practice focus when life is already loud, you are late. You are trying to build the lock while the door is already open. The trained mind does not begin at the moment of temptation. It begins before temptation has a voice. Here, Seishin becomes more than a moral word. The correct mind is not soft. It is not passive. It is not some pleasant idea about staying calm, because calm people look elegant. It is a refusal to let the inner weather decide the next move. The Bansen Shukai's idea of the cloudy mind is powerful because it attacks the excuse modern people love most. I just got distracted. No, you became available. Available to noise. Available to impulse. Available to whatever could trigger your body quickly enough to bypass your intention. Not a personality. A vulnerability. The shinobi texts treated vulnerability seriously. They connected mental clarity to moral steadiness, because an unstable person cannot be trusted with technique. A clever person with a cloudy mind only becomes more dangerous to himself. Skill does not save a person who cannot govern the state using the skill. This cuts against the modern obsession with hacks. Everyone wants the method, the shortcut, the tool, the technique, the ancient secret. The old framework says technique in the hands of an unstable mind is not mastery. It is liability. The ninja stereotype becomes misleading here. The popular image makes the shinobi look like a creature of aggression, a shadow with weapons, a figure built from speed, stealth, and threat. The deeper material points somewhere less comfortable. The most dangerous operative was not the angriest one. It was the clearest one. The one who could enter pressure without letting pressure enter him. The one who could read a situation without first being blinded by his own emotional reaction. The one who could keep the body from turning every signal into panic. The Shoninki sharpens the whole picture. Its focus on kokoro, the heart-mind, points to a simple but ruthless idea. You cannot accurately read another person while being dragged around by yourself. If your fear is loud, you will see threats everywhere. If your ego is loud, you will miss what insults you. If your desire is loud, you will believe what flatters you. If your anxiety is loud, you will confuse urgency with truth. Before the operative could understand the enemy, he had to understand and master his own state, not motivational, tactical. And it applies with ugly precision now. You cannot read your life clearly while your nervous system is being pulled in 6 directions. You cannot make clean decisions while your attention is being bought, sold, interrupted, and rewarded for staying shallow. You cannot call yourself focused just because you are staring at one screen while your body is tense. Your thoughts are fragmented, and your impulses are waiting for the next hit. That is not focus. It is stillness on the outside with chaos underneath. Real focus is not the absence of noise. It is the refusal to become organized by noise. The stress test result matters so much because of this. The practitioner did not become superhuman. He became harder to hijack. That grounded version is stronger than the fantasy. Fantasy lets you stay passive. You can admire it and do nothing. A biological anchor accuses you. It says your scattered mind is not mysterious. It is trainable. It is responding to pressure and patterns. It is obeying signals you have never disciplined. If that is true, then distraction is not just something happening to you. It is something your system has been allowed to rehearse again and again. Every time you reach without choosing. every time you react before seeing, every time you open a loop and leave it bleeding in the mind, every time you mistake stimulation for control. The old shinobi answer was not to hate the mind. It was to make the mind less cloudy before the world became dangerous. A different standard appears here. Most people want focus to feel comfortable. They want calm without training, clarity without sacrifice, and discipline without pressure. But if the mind becomes unstable under stress, then comfort cannot be the main teacher. Comfort is where the cloudy mind hides. Pressure reveals what actually owns you. The real method has to move beyond thought. The hand signs are only one doorway. The deeper pattern is anchoring. Thought, body, attention, and action have to be pulled into one line. Because the distracted person is not just someone thinking about too many things. The distracted person is divided. The body is in one place. The mind is somewhere else. The eyes are pulled toward one signal. The emotions are reacting to another. The intention is buried underneath all of it, pretending it is still in charge. Division creates the opening. Distraction enters through the split. The next part of the shinobi method becomes much more uncomfortable. They did not only train the mind by sitting still, they trained it by forcing the body to become precise. They used movement as a weapon against inner noise. They turned walking into attention. They turned vision into discipline. They turned darkness into pressure. They made the body so present that the mind had fewer places to run. Modern focus culture usually gets this wrong. It tries to solve a scattered life with ideas. The shinobi approach was harsher. If your attention keeps floating away, drag it back through the body. Not with a slogan, not with a quote, with contact, pressure, breath, the exact placement of weight, and the awareness of where the body is before the mind invents another escape. An unanchored mind will always lose, not because it is weak, but because it is open. Open to fear, open to impulse, open to every signal engineered to enter before choice can defend itself. Once you understand that, the title becomes less mystical and more threatening. Becoming invisible to distractions is not about hiding from the world. It is about becoming unavailable to the part of the world that feeds on your reaction. The first half of the method is clear now. The enemy is the cloudy mind. The anchor must come before pressure, and a person who cannot master his own state cannot read anything else clearly. But the second half is where the method stops being philosophical and becomes physical. Because the shinobi did not just believe in clarity, they built it into the body. Most modern people do not want to hear that part. They want focus to be a mood. They want discipline to arrive as motivation. They want calm to appear because they watched one video, wrote one quote, or decided that tomorrow they are finally going to become a different person. The body does not obey your fantasy. The body obeys training. Under pressure, the body reveals what has actually been trained. If you have trained your nervous system to reach for stimulation every time discomfort appears, then discomfort becomes a command. If you have trained your hand to check your phone before you even know why, then your hand is not serving you. It is serving the habit. If you have trained your eyes to jump toward every small movement, every notification, every new signal, then your attention is not yours. It is rented out in pieces. The shinobi method attacked that division directly. One of the frameworks connected to this training was sanmitsu, the alignment of thought, word, and action. Do not turn this into magic. That is the lazy version. The useful version is simpler and more brutal. A divided person hesitates. A unified person acts. When thought, speech, and body are split, the mind leaks energy. You think one thing, say another, do a third, and then wonder why your attention feels weak. Not mystery, fragmentation. The old method forced the person into one channel. The intention had to be clear. The word or sound had to reinforce it. The physical action had to lock it into the body. This is why the hand signs mattered. Not because fingers secretly controlled the universe, but because the gesture gave the nervous system a physical command. It made the invisible state visible to the body. A modern person says, "I need to focus," while sitting collapsed, breathing shallowly, glancing at a phone, and leaving 5 tabs open in the mind. That is not focus. It is a negotiation with failure. The shinobi logic would be harsher. Your body is voting against your intention, and the body usually wins. So they trained the body first. Take shinobi ashi, the stealth walking method. On the surface, it looks practical. Move silently, avoid detection, survive. Underneath that, it becomes a focus weapon. Imagine lowering your weight slowly through the outer edge of the foot, not rushing, not stomping, and not letting the body fall forward carelessly. Each step has to be felt before it is trusted. The smallest toes matter. The pressure matters. The contact matters. The floor becomes information. Every silent step punishes distraction, because if your mind wanders, the body gets sloppy. If the body gets sloppy, sound appears. If sound appears, the environment knows you are there. This is no longer a productivity trick. This is attention with consequences. Modern focus is missing consequences. You can lose 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours to distraction and still pretend nothing happened. But something did happen. You trained availability. You trained reaction. You trained the mind to abandon the chosen task whenever a stronger signal entered the room. The shinobi did not have the luxury of pretending attention was abstract. Attention had weight. Attention had sound. Attention had survival value. So the body became the anchor. Every step forced the mind back into physical reality. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Here is the hidden mechanism. The distracted mind floats because the body is absent. You are sitting in one place, but your attention is everywhere. Your eyes are on the screen, but your thoughts are arguing with yesterday. Your hand is still, but your nervous system is waiting for the next hit. The body is present, but the person is not. Physical anchoring works because it gives attention a location. The shinobi used the body to trap the mind in the present, not gently, precisely. This turns the whole idea of focus upside down. Most people think focus means staring harder, lock the eyes, force the mind, push through. Pressure does not always reward tightness. Sometimes tightness is panic wearing discipline's clothes. The old training included metsuke, a kind of visual awareness that used soft focus instead of hard fixation. That matters. Because when people panic, they narrow. They stare at the threat. They lock onto one object. They lose the edges. And once the edges disappear, the world becomes smaller than reality. Fear edits perception this way. The trained eye does not panic and lock. It opens. It learns to take in the whole field without being dragged by one point inside it. Not passive. Controlled. A weak mind chases the loudest signal. A trained mind sees the signal without becoming owned by it. Apply that to your life and it gets uncomfortable fast. Most of your distractions are not powerful. They're just loud. A notification is loud. A craving is loud. A memory is loud. An insecurity is loud. A fear about the future is loud. Loud does not mean important. The untrained mind cannot tell the difference. It turns toward the loudest thing and calls that reality. Metsuke teaches the opposite pattern. Do not let one signal steal the whole field. Do not stare at the distraction like it is the only thing alive. Widen. See the urge. See the task. See the cost. See the body. See the choice. That is focus, not blindness to everything else. Awareness without obedience. Darkness training matters too, but it has to be handled carefully. This was not some comic book ability to see perfectly in pitch black. That is nonsense. The useful idea is that when vision is limited, attention has to move. If you remove the easiest source of information, the nervous system is forced to listen differently. Sound becomes sharper. Pressure becomes sharper. Movement becomes sharper. The body starts noticing what the eyes usually dominate. Take away sight, and attention has to confess where else it can live. A distracted person has only one mode. Chase what is visible, bright, fast, and emotionally charged. A trained person has more than one channel. They can listen, feel, wait, read the space, and stay with the task when the obvious signal is removed. The shinobi method feels so far from modern life because modern systems train the opposite. They make everything bright, everything immediate, everything clickable, everything begging the eye to move before the mind is chosen. The modern world does not need to defeat your discipline with force. It only needs to keep you visually captured. Keep the eyes jumping. Keep the hand reaching. Keep the body still but the mind moving. Keep your attention shallow enough that you mistake stimulation for being alive. This is the real trap. Your phone did not invent your weakness. It found it. It found the unanchored mind. It found the eyes that chase movement. It found the body that cannot sit with discomfort. It found the nervous system that treats boredom like danger, and it built a kingdom there. The shinobi idea of Fudoshin becomes the final key, the immovable mind. Again, do not soften this into a motivational slogan. An immovable mind is not a mind that feels nothing. It is not numb. It is not dead. It is not pretending the world is quiet when it is not. It is a mind that does not collapse internally just because the outside becomes chaotic. The difference is simple. The goal was not no fear. The goal was no surrender. Fear may appear. Noise may appear. Pressure may appear. But it does not automatically receive command. The stress test points toward this. The trained practitioners were not proven to be magical. They were not proven to be beyond human biology. They were showing something more useful. The body can be trained to respond differently before pressure takes control. The anchor comes first, then the pressure, then the mind has somewhere to stand. Most people reverse it. They enter pressure unanchored, get overwhelmed, then go looking for discipline after they have already surrendered. So they keep losing. They do not have a focus problem only. They have a preparation problem. They wait until the craving is loud. They wait until the anxiety is loud. They wait until the phone is already in the hand. They wait until the mind is already split. Then they try to become strong. Too late. The shinobi lesson is cruel but useful. You do not rise to your intention. You fall to your anchor. If there is no anchor, you fall to whatever signal is strongest. Becoming invisible to distractions is not about deleting every distraction from life. Impossible. The world will stay noisy. People will interrupt you. Fear will visit. Screens will glow. Your own mind will produce useless drama for no reason. The point is not to live where nothing reaches you. The point is to become harder to move when it does. Begin with one question. Where does your attention go before you choose? Because that place is where you are not free. If your hand moves before your decision, train the hand. If your eyes jump before your intention, train the eyes. If your breathing changes before your awareness catches up, train the breath. If your body collapses every time the work gets boring, train the body to stay. Do not romanticize this. It is not glamorous. It is not cinematic. It is not a secret ancient hack that makes life easy. It is repetition. It is discomfort. It is the humiliation of seeing how easily you are pulled and then refusing to stay that easy. This separates discipline from performance. Performance wants to look focused. Discipline wants to become unavailable. Unavailable to panic. Unavailable to impulse. Unavailable to cheap stimulation. Unavailable to every small command disguised as entertainment. The old manuals called the cloudy mind dangerous because a cloudy mind cannot reflect reality. That image is still sharp. A muddy lake cannot show the moon clearly. It does not matter how bright the moon is. The distortion is inside the water. This is your mind under constant distraction. Reality may be clear, the task may be clear, the cost may be clear. But if the inner surface is disturbed all day, you will not see clearly enough to obey what you already know. The ugliest truth about focus is simple. Most people do not lack information. They lack stillness strong enough to act on it. You know what wastes your time. You know what weakens you. You know which habits make you feel disgusted afterward. You know when you were escaping. You know when you were pretending to rest while actually feeding the same exhaustion. The problem is not knowledge. The problem is that the cloudy mind can know the truth and still obey the noise. So the answer cannot be more information. The answer is anchoring. Make the body present. Make the eyes honest. Make the breath slower than the impulse. Make the first action so deliberate that distraction cannot slip in unnoticed. This is the practical meaning of the ninja focus method. Not hand signs as fantasy, not darkness as theater, not ancient Japan as decoration. A system of becoming harder to hijack. Thought, word, body, and action pulled into one line. The cloudy mind cleared before pressure arrives. The body trained to hold attention in place. The eyes trained to see without chasing. The nervous system trained to stop treating every signal as an emergency. This is what invisible means. The distraction comes looking for the old version of you, the version that reacts instantly, the version that checks without thinking, the version that confuses discomfort with danger, the version that lets every loud thing become important. But that version is harder to find now. Because you are not standing where you used to stand. You are anchored. You are present. You are not gone. You are simply no longer available in the same weak way. Here is the brutal lesson. The modern world does not need to break your mind. It only needs to keep it cloudy. A cloudy mind can be sold to, moved, triggered, distracted, and commanded. But an anchored mind becomes difficult terrain. Harder to enter, harder to read, harder to move. Not because it is empty, because it is occupied. By choice, by attention, by the body standing behind the decision. That is the immovable mind. Not a supernatural mind, not a fearless mind, not a mind above pressure. A mind that pressure cannot easily own. So when you hear, become invisible to distractions, do not imagine disappearing from the world. Imagine something far more useful. The world reaches for your reaction and finds nothing easy to grab.